Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at a career story that is just, well, it's completely unique. We're talking about Madoka Ozawa.
Right.
Her fame, especially in the late 90s, was so huge it just sort of broke through the walls of her own industry. We were looking at the sources, and they lay out this incredible journey.
It's an amazing story of influence and transition. When you read the material, it's clear. They call her a legend of the genre, a major figure in Japanese V cinema.
She wasn't just another star,
No, she was an economic engine. She really shaped the industry at that time.
and the impact was so immediate. So our mission for you today is to unpack how she shot to the top, how she became the #1 AV idol of 1997.
But also why getting off that pedestal was so much harder than getting on it.
Exactly. We're going to get into her fame, the performance of her many retirements, and the wild international turn that finally let her leave. So let's start at the beginning. The meteoric rise from 96 to 97. What do we know? Born March 3rd, 1978 in Tokyo.
Yep. And physically, not a towering presence, about 5'1.5".
But her debut year was just professional fireworks.
It really was. She was only 18 when she debuted in December 96 with Cosmos Plan, which was a huge label.
A powerhouse.
But what the sources all highlight is this really stark contrast between how fast she rose and her actual persona on screen right at the start.
Let's talk about that debut, Pure Love. What made it such a hit?
Well, it had 4 scenes, but the thing that every review at the time mentioned was her visible shyness.
Visible shyness.
Yeah. Think about it. You have this actress, she's entering this incredibly high-pressure industry, and she's an instant success. But what people see is this initial, almost awkward vulnerability.
That seems counterintuitive. Wouldn't you want someone who's just pure confidence from day one?
You'd think so, but it creates authenticity. It makes her feel real, maybe even a little reluctant, which is a very powerful fantasy element for the audience.
I see.
It turned her from just a performer into a subject of real fascination. That vulnerability plus the quality of the work, that's what shot her career forward.
And the hits just kept coming after that.
Sure.
You have I Want to Hug You in February 97, Angel Whisper in April 97.
Right.
That consistent success is what locks in that #1 title for her debut year. It was just total market saturation.
Well, total lightning strike. And the pressure from that, it led to a shift in how her videos were even made. They started to move beyond just straightforward AV.
They started blending genres.
Exactly. They got more ambitious, more narrative.
And that's where we start to see her trying to be more than an idol.
Yeah.
But you mentioned her parallel work in V cinema. Can you just quickly explain what V cinema is for anyone who isn't familiar?
Of course. V cinema is basically video cinema. It's Japan's huge direct-to-video market. It covers everything from Yakuza movies to ghost stories and sex comedies.
So it's a step closer to mainstream.
It is. It's seen as more mainstream than AV, so it's a very common stepping stone for performers who are trying to pivot their careers.
And we see that ambition in a work like 18 Dream.
Perfect example. That was August 1998. It opens with this long interview where she's just walking around talking about her future.
Like a documentary.
Kind of, and that footage is mixed in with scenes of intimacy and then a final sex scene. It was a conscious effort to give her more depth, to position her as a real actress or a Torrento.
That documentary style really peaks with Legend of an AV Idol in May 1999.
Yes. This was a full-blown attempt at an AV autobiography. It supposedly covered her entire life story, her adolescence, early experiences, how she became the AV queen.
But the context for who is watching these is fascinating.
It really is. The sources note that these kinds of films weren't just for, typical entertainment.
So who else was the audience?
Well, apparently in some cultural contexts in Japan, these documentary-style AVs were sometimes shown to married women
For what purpose?
to initiate them into sex, or maybe to serve as a kind of instruction or inspiration. So these top-tier productions sometimes had this strange quasi-educational role.
That's a critical piece of context. It's not just a commercial product at that point.
Exactly. And all the while, she's diversifying. She's on a Hong Kong comedy, Don't Tell My Partner. She's doing V cinema from 97 to 99.
It's clear she's looking for an exit almost from the beginning. But what's so wild is how hard it was for her to actually say goodbye.
It shows you how difficult it is for an idol at that level to make that jump. It's like trying to step off a moving train. This brings us to this pattern of false retirements.
In these really elaborate farewell videos.
They were events designed to be the final word.
So let's look at the first big one, Requiem. Came out around 2000.
The title says it all, right?
Right.
Requiem. The sources say it was beautifully filmed, high production value, very artistic. But it's the structure that's really unique.
What was the sequence of events in the film?
It starts with her meeting and chatting with a fan. It creates this very personal, intimate feeling. Then you have the sex scene, but it's how it ends that's stunning.
Right.
It concludes with her, the actress, thanking the fan for his performance.
Wow. Wait, thanking him for his performance?
Yes.
That completely flips the script on the power dynamic. What does a choice like that tell us?
It makes it a collaboration, not a transaction. It's this moment of incredible self-awareness. It's her saying, this is a mutual performance, and now I'm closing this chapter. It's an attempt to give the exit real weight.
But it didn't stick. She came back right after.
Not at all. And you have to contrast Requiem's intimacy with another attempt, Fallen Angel X, which was earlier, September 1999.
And how was that one different?
If Requiem was a thoughtful art film, Fallen Angel X was a blockbuster. It had acrobatic sex scenes, multiple partners, even her ex-boyfriend.
So one was quiet and the other was loud.
It was a massive, spectacular statement meant to be the end. The fact she tried both shows the struggle. She was dedicating major projects to leaving, but kept getting pulled back in.
Which says a lot about the money involved at that level.
It's the gravity of it, the pressure from fans, producers, the labels. It's immense, and it's so hard to translate that very specific fame into general mainstream celebrity, that Torrento status in Japan. It's just easier to go back to what you know.
And we see that. After another false start, she signs with Midas in 2002, releases Rate the Teacher, and then the comeback video, Look That Kill, in June 2003.
She needed something huge to really break free.
She needed leverage.
And that leverage came from outside Japan entirely. The story takes this incredibly sharp turn in late 2002, the Taiwan pivot.
This is where it goes from an industry story to something like public diplomacy. What was her first trip to Taiwan?
It started out so normally. December 2002, she goes to an auto show, hired as a bikini model, just a standard celebrity appearance.
But the reaction wasn't standard at all.
No. The sources say her appearance created such a stir, it was explosive.
What did that signal to her?
It signaled that in Taiwan, she wasn't just an AV actress. She was a major foreign celebrity, period. And that huge public interest led to a second invitation in 2003.
For a very different purpose.
A purpose nobody saw coming: to appear before Taiwanese troops on Kinmen Island.
Kinmen Island, I mean, that's a highly sensitive military outpost right off the coast of mainland China. An adult performer entertaining the military there.
It was a landmark event. The sources are clear. It was the first time an adult performer had ever been invited to entertain the Taiwanese military.
That's a national endorsement.
It absolutely is. She had crossed over not through a film role, but just through sheer celebrity status and public relations.
And the local government saw her potential right away.
Immediately. The magistrate, Li Chufeng, personally welcomed her and publicly said her visit would be a big boost for tourism. She became an economic driver for them.
So her visits in early 2003 just cemented this new path for her.
Suddenly, she was everywhere. She was in a big campaign for Kaoliang liquor. She was modeling wedding dresses. And crucially, she started getting real, legitimate offers.
For mainstream work.
For TV dramas, films, even music albums. This steady stream of mainstream work in Taiwan was the viable alternative that Japan had seemingly denied her.
And that's what finally allowed her to leave for good.
That's it. This is what led to her official, and this time definitive, retirement from adult videos in 2003. The Taiwan pivot worked where all the farewell videos had failed.
You mentioned Torrento status earlier. For our listeners, that's a key concept here, right? It's basically a mainstream media personality.
Exactly. A Torrento is someone who is just a general celebrity. They're on variety shows, they do commercials. It's what Ozawa wanted in Japan, but her background made it so difficult.
But Taiwan was willing to give her that legitimacy.
Instantly. But there is an important footnote to all this.
Okay, what's that?
While the move was a success in getting her out of AV, the sources do say her later attempt to become a mainstream TV star in Taiwan was ultimately not very successful.
So she broke the cycle, but that final goal of sustained mainstream fame was still out of reach.
It just highlights how incredibly difficult it is to build a new identity after a career that was so defined.
So we have the official retirement in 2003, but there's one last goodbye back in Japan.
One final statement. Her last farewell video was released on April 30, 2004, and the title just says everything about her struggle. It was called Never Can Say Goodbye.
An admission of how hard it was.
Completely. And the industry immediately started cementing her legacy. Cosmos Plan, her first label, put out a 3-volume memorial series in 2004.
Solidifying her place in history. So when you look at the whole arc, the meteoric rise, the narrative films, the repeated emotional goodbyes, and this final international escape, it's more than a career.
It's a commentary. It really is. Ozawa's career is a perfect case study of the challenges top AV idols faced trying to go mainstream as a Torrento.
The system in Japan at the time just wouldn't fully accept them.
Right. They needed to be, in a sense, scrubbed clean. And the fact that an outside market, Taiwan, was not just willing but eager to give her that mainstream platform.
It gave her the leverage she needed.
She needed a new country to orchestrate her final goodbye.
That really ties it all together.
Yeah.
So a final thought for you to consider. When you think about everything, from that early shyness in Pure Love to the high-drama farewells like Thanking the Fan in Requiem, it's all a performance of identity.
Mm.
So what does the repeated public performance of retirement reveal about the demands placed on a legendary idol? They aren't just selling a video. They're selling their goodbye over and over again. Something to think about. Until next time.